Hey dolls, welcome back to your Royal BFF, the People's Duchess. How you doing? Hope you guys are well. I'm doing very well on this lovely Thursday morning. Big news, big news, big news, big news. Prince Harry is set to give a keynote speech at the IAPP Global Summit 2026. It's on privacy, AI governance, and cybersecurity law in Washington, D.C. from the 30th of March until April 2nd. So Data Privacy Day was yesterday, January 28th, and in honor of that, they've put together this symposium on data privacy and AI governance. The IAPP Global Summit is the world's largest annual gathering of digital responsibility professionals, attracting top experts in privacy, AI governance, and cybersecurity law. The summit is a place for fresh ideas, practical solutions, and connections with peers and experts. I love that Prince Harry is one of those said experts. He's been working tirelessly on the issue of cyberbullying, harassment online, cyber stalking. He's in court currently because of the things that the Daily Mail did to him when they were stalking him and attempting to get information from him and his friends and family. So this is something that's very personal to Prince Harry, very much something that he is an expert on. It's kind of a big deal to have him on this panel with Salman Rushdie and other really great thinkers and great minds. And I love that they're solutions oriented. That's like the biggest thing here, is that this is going to be a symposium of people who have solutions, right? They've been working on this, they've been putting in the research, they've been gathering all of their facts, and now they're going to come together and give their opinions and ideas about what could work to prevent people from being harmed online. And I love that Prince Harry and, by extension, Princess Meghan are part of this conversation, because they've been putting in the work. Unlike certain headquarters that are in a closet in Kensington Palace, they know exactly where they are in the process. They know exactly what the issues are, and they know what they're doing. They've been at this for years, almost a decade now. Prince Harry has been countering this hateful narrative online, starting with when he had to release that letter telling people that they were being egregious towards his then girlfriend, Meghan. So the people over at IAPP are very intelligent to have tapped Prince Harry, because he's been working with experts, and it's going to be really beneficial to them to have Prince Harry there, because he attracts a lot of attention. Him and Meghan both attract a lot of attention due to who they are, but also due to their work, mostly due to their work, actually. Harry and Meghan are very hands-on people. They're not one to just employ a team of researchers and then slap their name on the paperwork at the end of the day. They are in the field. They're asking the questions of the participants of the research. They themselves are very much involved in the information gathering, the data analysis, and tracking those outcomes. Not only are they involved in all of that, but they have a high stake in it too. We all know Prince Harry was trolled from childhood. We all know Princess Meghan was the most trolled person in like 2018. So not only do they have personal experience and the conviction to end this madness, but they have children to look after. Children who we already see are very popular, who we already see are going to become even more so popular probably than their parents, and they have a duty to protect them from the hate. Prince Harry and Princess Meghan are committed to online safety, and I am equally committed. I mean, y'all know I have an AI company. I utilize AI. I'm a big fan of it, but I do agree that it needs to be regulated. When you see things like a picture of anyone being transformed into an AI video of that someone, that's very dangerous, especially when it comes to like law enforcement, right? That uses video and video surveillance for a lot of things. If you're all of a sudden able to do anything with the person's likeness, that opens up a whole different can of worms. So there's so much need for AI governance. There's so much need for regulation in this area. It's kind of an untapped market so far, right? AI is this kind of emerging technology. The advanced AI that we see today is new to us. I'm not going to get into how like AI has been around since forever. Anything with like an artificial brain is considered AI. But that's neither here nor there, right? The AI that we know today that's causing a lot of alarm today is an untapped market where you can manipulate images to appear differently than what they are. The fact of the matter is the kind of AI that we have now, the type of AI that allows us to take a picture and make that picture move is very dangerous. And even on platforms like YouTube and Facebook and stuff, the AI is getting out of control, bro. Like these AI images, these AI like thumbnails and stuff, they're just getting really out of control because that's not what those people were doing. I mean, come on, nah. And I call out Meta and YouTube in particular because they are almost 100% AI powered. Yes, they still have employees that check things and do the odd job here and there, but for the most part, their platforms are entirely powered by AI automations. If this happens, if they click on this, then this will be the response. If that happens, then we have one ready over here. Like they don't have humans anymore doing anything on the back end. The coding, the development, all the processes that you don't see, it's all automated. So there's no real recourse when something egregious happens to someone. They can't really reach out and find a human being to talk to unless it's like an egregious, super like publicized thing that happens. One of the biggest problems that we have today is online harm. And I used to think of it like, oh yeah, we'll just switch offline, just turn off the computer, just get offline. You don't have to subject yourself to online bullying if you don't want to. But the fact of the matter is a lot of us are reliant on these platforms for income, connection, and community. A lot of us have obligations that are tied to being online. We can't just switch off the internet. And in a lot of these places where you would think that like you can avoid this type of social media vitriol, this type of like hate and harassment, you still can't even escape them there. I was on LinkedIn the other day, LinkedIn of all places, and they announced this IAPP forum with Prince Harry on their LinkedIn page, and I was shocked. I was absolutely gobsmacked to see the amount of people willing to use their names, their faces, their workplaces to come online and denigrate Prince Harry on a professional forum. So the cyber attacks aren't just relegated to like really ghetto social media like Facebook or whatever. They're on LinkedIn now, comfortably being racist and rude. Can you imagine your boss being on LinkedIn leaving hateful comments about Prince Harry and Princess Meghan? Like, bro, it's gotten to that point. I'm really excited for this. I'm really hoping that Princess Meghan makes an appearance, even if it's not to speak. Perhaps she'll just go to support him. I don't know, but hopefully, you know how they do. They're very stealthy. They're very low key. I was shocked to find out that Cookie Queens documentary was 2 years in the making. So you mean to tell me for 2 years, all those 11, 12, 13-year-old girls kept a secret like that? So they're better than all the royals combined then? Is that what you're saying? So you mean to tell me a bunch of adolescent girls can keep mum on a project with Harry and Meghan better than the entire royal households combined? Okay. Well, I mean, I'm just glad that they're out of there, and I'm glad that Prince Harry has hit his stride. And did you guys know this? I didn't know that Prince Harry was also signed to the Harry Walker Agency along with Meghan. I had no idea. I mean, I knew he was a highly sought after speaker, but I didn't know that they shared an agency like that. Go Prince Harry. Now it makes sense why he's getting those like really high paid speaking things. Like I don't know why I didn't put two and two together, but makes total sense. Anyway, so that's great. I love that he and his wife are both getting the bag together. We love a husband and wife partnership, don't we? I love when a husband and wife are both getting the bag. Jackie Aina and her husband, Beyonce and her man, Meghan and the Duke of Sussex. Like, I love that. But with Meghan and Harry, I really appreciate how their advocacy comes with actual change. Unlike Bulliam and his nonsense of making a million pledges, doing nothing, they work with lawmakers, they work with the researchers, they're really hands-on, very much involved with the outcomes. They want to see change, and that's the difference between Harry and Meghan and the rest of the royals. The rest of the royals don't really want change. They just want you to think that they want change. They want you to think that they're adaptable, that they understand Gen Z, that they understand Gen Alpha, that they're here for the kids, that they're here for the future generations. But the fact of the matter is, they're traditionalists. They thrive on people remembering the days of yore when kings and queens had absolute authority. They don't want anything to change. Like, change would be the worst thing to the royals ever. So they have to do this whole song and dance of, well, no, we're modern, we're hip, we understand the pressures of today's society, we get you, we understand you, but they don't. How would they? They've been insulated in a bubble this whole time, and Prince Harry has been subject to the brutality of that bubble his entire life, and now Princess Meghan as well. But the fact of the matter is, they are the status quo, and they want things to remain the same. They want to be able to bully you into submission. They don't want the public to turn against them and their authority. Social media should definitely have checks and balances in place to protect people from entities like the royals, right? That employ thousands and thousands and thousands of bot farms to harm people, to go after people who disagree. There should be provisions in place that protect the public. I really hope that this comes into effect, especially as it pertains to social media. I mean, we're all affected by that. I've been personally affected by that in a way that I've never been affected before. I had this crazy lady last year approach me for a collab. I said no, and then she turned around and struck my channel 2 copyright strikes. I was like, bitch. I was like, who is this? And it's a lady that does Princess Diana content, and she copyright struck me on 2 clips of Princess Diana out on royal engagements. And obviously, she doesn't own those clips. She's like this random fan page. But because everything on YouTube is automated, she was able to still strike me. The way that works is if you make a video with those clips in it and anyone else makes a video with the same clips in it, they're going to tell you, hey, someone else has used these clips. I use clips of Meghan and Harry all the time, and they don't belong to me, but YouTube always notifies me that someone else has used my clips as if I own those particular clips, which obviously I don't. I don't have the licensing for Meghan and Harry content. But yeah, that's how YouTube works. So she was able to copyright strike me based on the fact that she uploaded those clips first and they were attributed to her channel, although she doesn't own the likeness or image of Princess Diana. What happens after that is once they strike you, you can then counter notify them that you're going to fight that strike because they don't own the material. YouTube gives them 10 days to show proof that they have served you a notice to show up in civil court, that they're suing you over the copyright in civil court, which obviously she doesn't own the likeness or image or engagements of Princess Diana, so that never did happen. But in the process, YouTube gives them all of your information to prepare them for if they did sue you. Your name, your address, your phone number, all of your information. And I mean, I get it, but that should not be the next step. It shouldn't be the next step that someone that you have this tension with, someone who has copyright stricken you, now has all of your information. They shouldn't give anybody who is trying to sue you your personal information. There should be a buffer. They should say, okay, this person has submitted a counter notification challenging your strike. Are you going to take them to court? And if the person says yes, then you give them the information. If they say no, then that's that and they don't get your information. But there should be checks and balances in place. They should have to prove copyright ownership. You should not just attribute someone's copyright to the fact that they uploaded the video first, especially when it comes to very well-known public figures like Princess Diana. Every channel that has a copyright strike claim should be able to answer the question, how do you own this copyright to this public figure? Show us that you own it. Show us your name tied to this copyright. But of course they don't, because again, it's all AI automated systems. So this lady was able to obtain my information via the fact that I countered her notification for the strike. And I think that that was the plan all along. So I'm just like, okay. But I'm not actually nervous or anything like that. To be honest, I've already reverse searched her IP address from her Gmail that she sent me the request from. I know who she is. I know who her family members are. I know where she lives. I know her address. I know her phone number. I know where she works. I know everything about her. And I addressed her by her first and last name, her full government name in the response email after she struck me. Like, girl, not only do I have your entire family history at my fingertips, I will make you wish you had never met me in the first place. I go tit for tat. I'm not a you go low, I go high, Michelle Obama type. I go tit for tat. You expose my address, I'm exposing your address, where your kids live, where your parents live, where your family lives, where you work. You go low, I'm going to Hades. Okay, you want to expose or dox my address or phone number, we're both going to end up on the river Styx. I wish a bitch would. And I told her, I laid it out all in the email. I really wish that you would, because that'll be the day your life changes permanently. Like, not only would I sue you in court, but there will be so many different things that end up online about you. You'll really wish that you just never met me. Yeah, some people you just shouldn't try it with, but other people who are not so computer inclined, who are not engineers like myself, they could fall victim to this, and they have. I've heard stories of people approaching squatties at their homes and all kinds of things. So I'm just really hoping that the outcome of the work that Harry and Meghan have done are changed laws, right? Laws that prevent people from doxing or have very harsh, very stiff penalties for doxing and harassment. I'm just really hoping that we have something out of this, because it needs to be regulated. It needs to end. At the very minimum, there should be some kind of law that says, like, you have to post with your real information. Like, let's say you get a strike or a warning for posting something egregious and heinous on someone's comments. After that, you should have to post with your real face, real information. You cannot post from an alias or a no name, no face page.